Welcome to the NYXUS Podcast. Today I have the two guys from Statues. Introduce yourself, guys.
My name is Lyrical Liaison of Statues.
And I'm Jay Aki.
Awesome. Nice to have you guys. Where are you guys from? Where's your location?
North Minneapolis for me.
Yep, and I live in Champlin, Minnesota, but I grew up in North Minneapolis where Jay lives.
Nice. I guess that's where you guys met and started the band and everything.
Yeah. We actually
Awesome.
we both grew up in North Minneapolis. We went to high school together.
Very cool. How was music introduced to you guys? Like growing up, who influenced you to start doing this?
For me, it was my older brother. He had come up from Denver when I was about 12, 13 years old and got me introduced to hip hop. And from there, it became its own thing, took on its own life.
And for me, both of my parents were very musically inclined. With my mom, it was a lot of like classic rock, old Motown stuff. And with my dad, it was a lot of hip hop. I grew up listening to a lot of old West Coast hip hop guys like E40, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube. So on my side, it was, with my dad, it was a lot of West Coast hip hop. I grew up listening to a lot of like E40, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. And then like on my mom's side, it was a lot of like old classic rock, Motown, bands like AC/DC and Kiss and Ted Nugent. So there was always music playing in the house all day, every day.
So you grew up on a big variety of stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I would say we both did.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty cool. What are you guys like? What's the plans for the coming months? You guys releasing new songs? You gonna do a show somewhere?
We just released two projects in 2022. We released the album and we also released an EP. Me and Jay were just talking about this earlier in the day. Sometime late March, early April, we're actually going to start linking up and start blueprinting the next project. We got a couple songs started, but we don't really have anything concrete at the moment. But we're just in that beginning stage of piecing and putting everything together.
Very cool. So just keep an eye out, and we'll see some stuff in the near future from you guys, some new stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we talked about it a little bit, your background, what brought you guys together. So you guys went to high school together, and where did it go from there? Like you guys just like doing hip hop in your basement, and then you said, hey, let's do an album, or like...
Jay, you could tell about Golden Valley Road.
So when we were in high school was when we actually started really working together, even though we met in middle school. And we had a house that we lived in, me and my family, on Golden Valley Road at the time. And in the upstairs, it was me and my older brother sharing a room, and we had built a studio in that room. And that was where we had originally started working. Like the first year, I think, after high school, we really got to work and we put out a project. Mike had one called the Native LP at the time. And then I think I had put out a project, and then we both just kind of put music on the back burner for a while and let life do its thing, go its course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and around when me and Jay, we met in middle school, I think... Trying to remember, I think
we met because of rap.
Yeah, we met because of hip hop, and I think the first time I met Jay, we were battle rapping in a lunchroom.
Nice.
Yeah, so like what they would do is like we'd be in a lunchroom and like we would beat on the table, and then like people would just come over and we would battle rap each other. We'd go back and forth, and it would last the entire lunchroom, and that's how me and Jay met. And then
someone introduced you to me. They're like, yo, because they knew that I rapped, because we would be rapping outside the school like in the morning, so they already knew I rapped.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, you got to meet this guy. He's dope. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, this white kid raps. I'm like, wait, what? And then I heard him spit. I'm like, okay, he's dope.
Yeah, there wasn't many kids rapping in the school, and it was even more shocking that, hey, there's this white kid that comes over here and he's pretty damn good. But
well, I mean, back then it was like that. I remember me too in school. Like you see the white kid rap, and you'd be like, "What?
What are you doing?
Get him out of here."
You're not singing pop, you rap, yeah. That's pretty cool. It's nice to see how people meet up and how bands link up, and you guys have like a big history together. Like it goes way back.
Hell yeah.
And it was because when we made music back in the day, like Jay said, life kind of happened and we went our separate ways for a while. And what kind of got us back together, because for a time I didn't make music or write anything for years, many years, and right in the middle of COVID, Jay was working on this EP, and he reached out to me. I think this was about summer of 2020 or so.
Yep.
Jay reached out to me, and he was like, "Hey, I got this song," and he's like, "I want you to do something with it." And I'm like, "Man, I haven't written anything in years. I don't know what the hell I can do to this." And Jay was like, "I trust you. Take your time. Figure it out, and then just message me or let me know when you're ready." I was like, cool. So Jay sends me the instrumental, and I sit down with with my phone, the phone pad app in the phone, and gears slowly started turning, and I came up with something, and I was like, maybe this is passable, and I went over to Jay's house later that weekend, and I did the verse, and it actually ended up turning out pretty great. I actually think it was one of the most played songs from the project.
I think it was honestly the best track on the project.
Yeah, it was one of the most played songs on his project. And then he released that EP like a couple months later. And
yeah, when I was in LA.
Yeah, Jay was in LA. Jay moved to LA for a bit. And then, when I'm listening to this song, I was listening to it over and over, and I'm like, man, I kind of liked it. I kind of miss writing. I kind of miss piecing songs together, and then I'm like, I kind of want to make this collab album, because we started making a collab album, years prior, but we never finished it, or and nothing ever came of it. And then I contacted Jay, and I was like, hey, do you remember, we started making a statues album like back in the day, and I was like, let's sit down and actually create that. And he's like, yeah, absolutely, come over, this weekend we can go through beats and we can start writing, and it just started skyrocketing from there.
Hell yeah.
Very, very cool. That's a nice story. It's nice to see people getting back together. You know what I mean? Life gets in the way, but if you really want to get something done and accomplished, you can get it done.
Yeah.
How would you guys define success as an artist? Like somebody's told me that success was staying true to themselves. Like for you guys, what would be success?
For me, success is actually getting the damn project released. Like, I'm a perfectionist. I'll sit in the studio for weeks on end mixing the same track.
I hear that.
Bring something from start to finish. That's my book.
He's not wrong. It's funny because Jay will sit there and work on the same song for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I'm like, Jay, it sounds fine. He's like, no, there's something missing. And I'm like, okay. I'll let you do your thing. But you know what? I gotta let Justice do his thing when we're in the studio. I mean, because an unfinished song, it irks him. And it does to me too. But we have songs and the projects we do because Jay is who he is. So
yeah, I'm the same way though. When it's time to get something out, it's time to get either the podcast or one of my songs out. It always takes me like. Even my audio engineer, Matt, told me not long ago, like yesterday, I think, he said, you want to wait. You want to make sure everything is okay because once it's released, there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some very sound advice.
Yep. Me and Jay, we say quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yep.
I agree. So let's take a listen to one of your songs. Let's play Foreign first.
Me out. Go. Me out.
The smell of gunpowder, it ain't foreign. Deafening the sounds of the sirens, it ain't foreign. Seeing and hearing people dying, it ain't foreign. Watching souls leaving flying, it ain't foreign. Yo, the smell of gunpowder, it ain't foreign. Deafening sounds of the sirens, it ain't foreign. Seeing and hearing people dying, it ain't foreign. Watching souls leaving flying, it ain't alright. Come on, this alien activity, we ain't foreign to it. The gunshots and sirens and fighting, we're born into it. Hanging with the wrong crowd could be something that kills. You see them headlights off, you better run for the hills. You could be hit with a stray and you wouldn't know why. Have your block grand finale like the 4th of July. I feel the pressure on my back, it's heavy like a wide load. Seeing nothing but red and blue lights with my eyes closed. Having reoccurring nightmares, I'm needing a gun. I pull the trigger, it just clicks and they hit me and run. I'm looking like dominoes with these holes in my shirt. They just left me to die, I'm leaking blood to the dirt. This happens every day, but you're safe in your birds. Sometimes you're blindsided, you won't see it occur. But the ones who make it out are the ones that tell the story. Yo, don't worry about me, focus on the ones before me. The smell of gunpowder, it ain't foreign. Deafening sounds of the sirens, it ain't foreign. Seeing and hearing people dying, it ain't foreign. Watching souls leaving flying, it ain't foreign. Yo, the smell of gunpowder, it ain't foreign. Deafening sounds of the sirens, it ain't foreign. Seeing and hearing people dying, it ain't foreign. Watching souls leaving flying, it ain't foreign. Come on.
I'm a card carrying, cadaver burying terrorist, barreling down a narrow road with not in my variant, scaring kids in the area who keep taking me serious. Get her parents there, torches and get frantically furious. Like I'm the sickest thing they've ever seen. When they got little homies on their back, loaded magazines. I ain't never ran away from cops to try to flee the scene. So they see me as an alien, like I'm Mr. Bean. No trapeze when they pull up with the triple beam. 3 red dots, 1 headshot, 1 chest shot, 1 ruptured spleen. Those casket scenes, those bastards I mean. What kind of man decides to strap up and blast at a team? The kind of man who deserves to be stuck in the hood. Spiritually disturbed, no wonder they're up to no good. Shit has occurred, they're just doing all that they could to survive, help them thrive, wish the government would. It ain't
small gunpowder, it ain't foreign. Deafening sounds of the sirens,
it ain't foreign.
Seeing and hearing people dying, it ain't foreign. Watching souls leaving flying,
it ain't foreign.
Yo, the smell of gunpowder, it ain't foreign. Deafening sounds of the sirens,
it ain't foreign.
Seeing and hearing people dying, it ain't foreign. Watching souls leaving flying,
it ain't foreign.
Come on.
Turn your punk ass over. Who the fuck you thinking? What the fuck you doing? Who the fuck you?
And we're back. We just heard Foreign from Statues. Anybody wants to talk about it? What was the creative process? What got your juice flowing for that song?
If I can recall correctly, I think Foreign. Most of our songs are usually come about from like us, mutually creating it. I think the idea of it came from as me and Jay grew up in a neighborhood where there was a lot of violence, a lot of gang violence. You go to bed hearing gunshots and sirens every night, and nobody wants to hear that. And because we grew up in the environment we did, that stuff isn't foreign to us versus somebody who might have grew up in a nicer suburban neighborhood that can't really relate to that. So me and Jay made a song pretty much talking about the stuff we see, and the shit we see growing up as kids. It's not foreign to us. We're used to it. And to be honest, when you're kids, you shouldn't be used to seeing and hearing those types of things. And we wanted to.
Absolutely no.
Yeah. And we, decided to make a song talking about it.
I feel like thematically even Foreign almost feels like a sequel to In the Trap, which is the first song that we actually got back in the studio and worked on together.
Yeah.
I remember Mike had written his verse, and he told me the beat that he had wrote it to. And I'm on the job, I'm driving around, and I pull up the beat, and I hear it, and just instantly I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go off to this.
What's funny, like this is how much me and Jay love hip hop. Like randomly throughout the day, we would just send raps that we've written to one another. Like we just do that. Like he's like, hey, I wrote this. I'm like, hey, I wrote this, and we'll send it back and forth. And we're like, oh, I wrote it to this beat. Oh, I wrote to this beat. And then, we save those and we actually try to bring those songs to fruition next time we link up in the studios.
That's really cool. Do you guys freestyle? Do you guys do you have any freestyle songs that you just like said, you know what, let me get on this bike and just did it and said, that's it.
I am absolutely fucking terrible at freestyles. Jay's a little better. When I freestyle, I mean, freestyling's fun, but like when it comes to actually doing it on a song and being serious with it, I rap about goofy shit. But with me and Jay, we like our songs to have meaning. I enjoy sitting down and writing a song from scratch and, coming up with things, coming up with topics. It's like putting together a 1,000-piece puzzle. Sometimes it's stressful. Sometimes, you want to chuck shit across the room. But, but in my opinion, that's the best way of doing it.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I can't just freestyle. My brain doesn't think that fast. I have to sit down, pen and pad, and
For sure. If I'm freestyling, it's not gonna be conscious. It's not gonna be thoughtful. I might say some cool lines, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna be a piece of work that I'm particularly proud of. But I have freestyled here and there.
I think in the earlier days when we were on Golden Valley Road, we used to freestyle and record them, and we just it was just goofy shit.
Yeah, mainly comedic.
Yeah, we actually released some of the stuff too, which looking back at it, I'm like, God, that's dumb.
I mean, it has to. It's part of your story. It's part of growing up. It's part of. I have some stuff too that I released when I was younger, and I'm like, ugh, cringe. But it's out there.
Like, just burn that, please.
Exactly. Can we not play this anymore? Thank you.
I feel that way too. Like sometimes when people play my music around me, I'm like, can you do that when I walk away?
Right. I feel the same way. Somebody plays one of my songs and I'm like, oh, why are we listening to this? And they're like, well, it's your song. Yeah, I don't want to listen to it, guys.
I've heard this song enough.
It's like I can listen to our music in a car when I'm by myself, but like when somebody else willingly turns it on, I get like blush. I'm like, oh my God.
I know what y'all mean for sure. How do you guys balance music and like other life obligations, like, jobs and families? I don't know if you guys have kids. How do you guys balance all of that? You try to work on your music when you have quiet time at night?
We tend to set a time and a place for actually recording the music.
Yeah.
So generally, like when we're in record mode, it's all right, every week I'll see you this time. I'll see you this time. I'll see you this time. And so like, it's usually like a Sunday. It's probably going to be Monday for us going forwards. And so we'll just know that every week this is our time that we carve out for ourselves to get creative.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Oh, yeah. We have to do it that way in order for the stuff to be made. Sometimes our times can be restricted because our work times are so hot that, I have a wife and a kid, so the only time I'm able to really sneak away and make music is after I put the kid to bed. And, I go over to, Jay's house and we make music. Sometimes we're up till, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. Yeah. And the funny thing is every studio session, I bring over energy drinks so we can survive.
Oh, yeah. Because otherwise it would last 2 hours.
Yeah.
You gotta keep awake all night. You gotta make that time count when you have time to get together. I feel that. I work on my music when the kids are out of the house, when when I have a few minutes, like an hour, I'll sit down and I'll do a bit of music. And but I mean, family comes first, obviously.
Absolutely.
Do you guys come from a musical family? I know you said your brother was into rap. Is he still making music now?
My older brother hasn't really made a lot of new music as of late, which is kind of upsetting. But he's trying to find himself and get back into it.
Yeah.
And so I'm really hopeful that he'll turn things around here in the near future, and maybe you'll get to sit down with him one day.
Yeah, and I hope so. I hope so too, because Tycoon is very, very talented. And, me and Jay, there's been multiple times where we've tried to get him to come in and craft something with us. And, he's a very talented guy, but it's just a matter of, him him finding the time and him, being, consistent with it.
Yeah, sometimes the timing's not right, but, things change. Hopefully everything can, fit in and he can start making music again.
In the meantime, though, my little brother has actually, finally, by the grace of God, he's gotten the music bug.
There you go.
And I'm glad he has, because he's another one, too, where I've been in his ear. I'm like, look, man. I'm like, you can't just be down there with a bunch of your buddies making dumb shit. You got all this music and you're not doing anything with it. I said, you gotta sit down, seriously craft this, and let's get it out there. And he's starting to do that, and I'm proud of him.
Mm-hmm. He's taking it really serious.
Yep.
Good. Keep the kids out of trouble. Put them into music.
Yep. Put their focus and energy into something positive.
Absolutely. That's the best thing we can offer to them. Is help them focus on something that won't bring them any trouble. That'll, help them just be a better person in life.
Keep them out of these streets.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
do you guys have any weaknesses that you're actually actively working on improving?
I at least on my end, I think for us, our sound, like when people ask us what kind of sound we have, I can't ever really pinpoint it. I just say it's hip hop. But me and Jay are right now moving forward are starting to play around with different types of sounds. Trying to bring like more live instruments into our music, stuff like drums, bass guitars, things like that. Trying to dabble our hand into different types of sounds within music. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but it's just a matter of trying to figure that out.
I've been pushing.
Well, I go ahead.
Trying to, not just rap, but try and sing. And, by nature, I'm really not a singer. So it's all been like self-taught, just trying to push myself and challenge myself to do things that I've never done before.
In that Funk Around song, Jay's actually, throwing some high notes in the hook. So when you hear that'll be Jay.
So there you go. Why don't we take a moment right now and go listen to Funk Around, and we can hear Jay doing his high notes.
Let me tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. Let me tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. You gon' funk around and find
Fuck around with the fuck around. I
out.
said, fuck around with the fuck around. I said,
You gon' funk around and find out.
I said, fuck around with the fuck around. I said, Minneapolis be the city where I'm from. North to the south be the concrete slum. So don't let us catch you slipping both eyes over your shoulder. Stopping at the light, don't turn off your motors. New Jack City and my boys are the governors. Down to hit a lick and beat the brakes off of one of yours. Time to decide, walk or ride. Just so there's levels to the shit you lane, you better abide. And don't approach with the smoke, you better set it aside. Haters make you sick like uncooked swine. Keep marching on with no time to rewind. J.I.K. and LL be a hell of a find, so let's go. Back to the well again. Statues in this bitch, go and tell a friend. There's no stone unturned, what I recommend. This rap shit's in my bones, it'll never end. We the ones, be the ones, no validate. Been putting it down since the valley days. People came in, and then they parted ways. But I came back heavy like a tidal wave. We don't stick to one kind, yo, we all tight. Flames slowly dying out, cause you all hype. So I had to pick one, and it had to be done. And statues north side for the 612. yeah, as a badass city. What's good, Minneapolis? Let me know if you with me.
Let me tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. Let me tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. You gon' funk around and find
Fuck around with the fuck around. I
out. Looking around and brought a wonderful sound out of my little town that's known to get down. Mr. Brown, Mr. Kettle, mix it up a little. About to take all of y'all to another level. Strapped in, don't get out your seats. Blast off on the count of 3. Wanna know what you're about to see? Really, it's not a mystery. You're about to find out like wow. Statues came to throw the mic down. If you ain't with the funk right now, you can go sit your butt down. I'm not playing with you, no. We came to take control. Get your butt on the floor. Yo, I bet you forgot this was a rap song, huh? Moving to the beat like it's a dance song, huh? You ain't hurting no one, get your dance on, ma. Check it like you got a bunch of vans on ya. Fuck around, make a nigga take a chance on ya. If you bad, take out that advance on ya. Spend some cash on ya, and you better make it last. Only here for one night, then I gotta dash.
Bitch, we at the game courtside. Well, game like good. About to come back to the north side. You dig?
Let me tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. Let me tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. You gon' funk around and find
Fuck around with the fuck around. I
out.
said, fuck around with the fuck around. I said,
You gon' funk around and find
fuck around with the fuck around. I said,
out.
fuck around with the fuck around. I said.
Tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. Let me tell you what we came to do. We came to lay the floor down and raise the roof. If you don't know what we're bringing you, then I got one thing to say to you. You gon' funk around. You gon' funk around.
We're back with Statues, and we're going to talk about their song Funk Around. So what inspired that one?
Man, that one was so much fun to create.
You know what? Funk Around was one of those songs that came together organically. It was kind of one of those songs that wasn't really pre-planned much. It was something that kind of happened as we were in the studio. And me and Jay found this instrumental that we absolutely fell in love with. And we both wrote to it, and I think at the time we were kind of stuck on trying to figure out a hook. And then I think Jay was like, "What should we call this?"
Matter of fact, you had written to it. You had already laid your verse down, and while you were laying your verse down, I'm sitting there writing the hook. And you had said something just messing around. You was like, some funk around.
I was like, why don't we just call it "Fuck Around and Find Out"? And I think, a light bulb popped up in your head, and then you started writing the hook, and then you went in there and you started doing your thing. I'm like, whoa, okay. And then we just kind of like crafted it and went from there. And it actually ended up being one of the more popular songs from that project.
It's probably my favorite song that we've ever made, to be honest.
It is, and that's actually, one of the few songs that actually gets the most play and like, in like bars and stuff like that. I'm friends with a few DJs, and that's like one of the main songs they play when in clubs and bars.
Very cool. If people want to go listen to your music right now, where can they go? You guys are on Spotify. You got YouTube.
Yeah. So we're available on all streaming platforms. Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, wherever you can find music, we're there.
Awesome. So they just type in Statues and we'll find you?
Yep.
I would recommend looking up statues set in stone, it'd be a little bit easier to find us that way. It'll take you to the album and or the single by the same name.
Yeah, because when you type in statues on Spotify and Apple Music and some other ones, there's like a rock band named Statues.
All right, so we make sure to write Statues, then set in stones, and we know that it's you guys.
Yep. And then they'll also see that the black and white picture I sent you of us too, so that'll be able to help narrow it down.
Yes, that's going to be posted on my Facebook page and on my website, so people will be able to see also who you guys are. We'll make sure to make a promo. So you guys have Facebook, you guys have an Instagram. Where can we follow you guys?
So actually, you can find us Statues at Facebook. There is a Facebook page where the photo is the black and white picture that they'll see on the website. At Instagram, I plan on starting a page for us here fairly soon. But as of right now, we have set up on Facebook for now.
Maybe we'll use
so we can find you on Facebook.
Next project.
Yep.
What's the meaning behind statues? Where did you get the inspiration from? Like,
damn, Jay, I honestly don't remember. I think because we were
so long.
I know. All I can remember really much from is like we were talking about making a joint album, and we were kind of running through names, and I don't know. I think one of us, came up with the word statues, and we just kind of stuck with that. Yeah, I wish I can give you more of a story for that. It's over 10 years ago. I don't remember. Sorry.
It's really more about like what a statue represents. And like the idea of the staying power that a statue has. Generally, somebody puts a statue up, that statue ain't going nowhere unless, decades down the line, somebody decides that the person in that statue is offensive. But
yeah. Right, yes.
Hopefully, we will never go anywhere. That's the idea that even, when we're long gone, the music will always stand as a testament, and everything we've done here on this earth will stand as a testament for things, or for who we are and that we stood for.
Absolutely. Sorry, you guys probably just heard my son in the background.
No problem.
He does that at least once every interview. He wants to be involved. He wants to be heard.
He's got to get his royalties too, right?
Right.
Exactly. Let me in on that show. Let's go. What advice would you give to your younger self? Here we go. Since we're talking about young little boy, what would you guys give yourself as an advice? Like if you could sit down with your younger self right now.
Man, if I were to give advice to my younger self, it would have been to start taking shit more seriously. Because when you're young, obviously when you're young, you want to, be young and do young things. You want to party, you want to hang out, which is all fine. But, when it comes to stuff like, building a business and making music, like doing stuff that me and Jay are doing right now, I kind of wish I would have got into that stuff a little earlier. That way it would just be more knowledgeable and a little further than, where I feel like I am now. And then I kind of wish I wouldn't have taken that break from music either. But also, I'm kind of glad that Jay hit me up and got me back into it. So I'm always thankful for that. I was just talking to him about that earlier today.
For my part, I wouldn't do anything different because everything that I did and everything that I've gone through in my life brought me to the point that I'm at today. And I can guarantee you this music that we've put out this last, year and a half, 2 years now?
Yeah.
I never would have created this music if I didn't go through every little step that I went through.
Yeah, agreed.
Writing hip-hop altogether. And I picked up a guitar and I wrote songs on a guitar. And even that period of my life lended itself to the artist that I am today.
So you could play a bit of the guitar too. That's
just
pretty
cool. Just a little.
enough to be able to write some songs too. So
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's funny. I remember seeing a video with Jay sent me a video of him playing a guitar. I'm like, where the fuck did you get that and where did that come from? Because I never expected Jay to. I mean, which is cool. I'm glad he could play guitar. That's awesome. I can't play worth shit. But like, when I seen him play that guitar, I'm like, okay, so we're changing it up a bit. That's cool.
We're going country.
Oh man. That was the gospel stage of my life.
Oh, okay. How'd you guys learn to rap? This is just something that you started doing. You just started rapping one day with your favorite artist, and you just like, well, I like doing this, and you just started doing your own thing, or did you have to work at it?
It was, mainly just listening to some of my favorite rappers like Eminem, 50 Cent, Tupac. And I can remember to this day, actually, being about 12 years old, back in the good old BET MTV days when they had music videos playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, Oh, I Think They Like Me. It was the remix. It was playing, and next thing you know, I'm freestyling. I say something. I'm like, ooh, hold on, I like that. It sounded cool. So I got a piece of pen and paper, and I wrote it down real quick. And that was my first time ever writing rhymes, and from there, it just took off. But ever since I was like 7 years old, actually, I remember writing songs. So it's always just kind of been a thing for me.
Yeah, for me, I remember when I was younger, I had a stepbrother named Devon. He actually ended up passing away last year due to a drug overdose. But when we were younger, we used to have an MP3 player, and it used to record.
Yes, I remember those.
Yep. So what we would do is that we used to download instrumentals. This was back when LimeWire was a thing, back when you could...
Oh, yes.
Yes. When you could download music illegally and give your computer AIDS.
And
so what we used to download instrumentals and put them on this MP3 player. And we would, put the instrumentals onto our Xbox or whatever we had at the time, PlayStation, whatever.
Yeah, the Xbox used to be with music back in the day.
Yep. My old PlayStation, I still got beats on there. But so what we would do is we would play the beats from the console, and we would record ourselves from the MP3 player. And it was one of those things too, like freestyling, messing around, whatever, coming up with dumb shit. And then we actually got to the point where we actually started writing, like grabbing an actual notebook and pencil. Like it's tucked away somewhere. I still have my notebooks, rhymes from high school. Those old college.
Wow.
I got the college notebooks, the thick ones. But for as far as artists and people that I'd listened to, me and Jay had, great teachers. Our music taste is pretty parallel. And I think that's why our friendship and, is the way it is. And we've known each other for so long is that, we're students of the game. We study hip hop.
Yeah.
And, we've done that for many years and we're going to continue to do it. And that's just how we get better. We keep going and we keep studying it.
That's the thing to do.
High school, where my English teacher was teaching us poetry. And the English teacher knew that I rapped. Mm-hmm. And so she said, Jay, why don't you do me a favor, go through your notebook and try to find something that's clean enough to show for the class. So I go through, I'm like, all right, how about this one? Puts it up on the board. Whoops. That was my alarm for this interview. She puts my notes up on the board, and she starts breaking down all of the different poetic sort of techniques that I'm using in my music, like alliteration and God, I can't even think of all the words. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize that all of this, technique and idea goes into the shit that we just kind of do for fun. Like, we don't think about it that hard, but when you break it down, like,
it's like writing a poem.
Some amazing
absolutely.
shit.
Yeah.
Especially rap. Like songs, pop songs, there's a different format. Rock song is a complete different format. Then you get to rap, and rap is very poetic. Very poetic.
Yep. Yeah. And when you're in high school and when you're younger like that, you don't really think that in depth, you know, with the way you're writing, you know what I mean? But, you know, as we get older, we get better.
Absolutely. Would you guys say music and art is important to society? Like, I know a lot of classes, a lot of schools are trying to cut like music classes and art classes. Like, I think it's detrimental to the kids. I think music and art is something that all kids should have access to.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you're young, you don't know how to express yourself. Music gives you a vehicle of expression. When you can't find the words to say, Mom, Dad, I'm hurting. Mom, Dad, I'm struggling. I need help. You can say it through music in a way that almost anybody can understand you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you know what? That, you know, I've been hearing some of that stuff too, that, you know, schools across the country are getting funding cut from like band and music, and, you know, being able to have after school programs for spoken word and poetry. You know, the thing is that the high school me and Jay went to, they used to have an after school program, for spoken word, and me and Jay used to go to that. So,
matter of fact, you and I basically formed it.
Yes. So there was a person who worked at our school who used to stay after school and run this class, you know, a spoken word class. And what he would do is that he'd bring a CD with instrumentals on it, and he'd have us write. And he'd be like, you know, write to whatever song or write to whatever beat you like, and, you know, let's hear it. And, you know, that's what we did. And we would do that.
Started.
Yeah. And we would go there, you know, a couple times a week. And, you know, stuff like that to kids is very important. It keeps them off the streets. It keeps them from, you know, getting into all the dumb shit that they do. You know, music and art is very important. And I think if we didn't have that, the world would be a lot worse place. You know, kids need structure. People need structure. Music and art helps them out with that.
I agree. Even as an adult, like writing music.
The way you see the young kids just dying to express themselves right now, like they've been deprived of that self-expression in school. So now they got to go to stuff like the internet and their smartphones for it.
You know, a lot of
space for them to explore their creative sides.
Yeah. And, you know, and a lot of people don't have an outlet to express themselves, and a lot of people don't have a creative outlet, you know, and that's why people end up, you know, getting into just terrible things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
like I can punch this guy in the face, or I can hold it in and go to the studio and lay a track about how pissed off I am.
You could, yes, you could put all that rage and everything you feel back into your music, and then you feel so much better.
And you're not in jail with an assault charge.
I was gonna say, yeah, one won't get you in trouble, the other one will, so you choose wisely.
Exactly. How do you guys think social media changed the music industry? Like since COVID, like it's been a big shift. Everybody can talk about it. Everybody can say that in every aspect of life. But in music, since COVID hit and nobody could do a show, like how would you say social media changed the game?
I would say social media has made it a lot easier for artists and bands to network and connect with each other. I can only imagine before social media it was probably slightly more difficult, but social media is helped out a ton. You know, if it wasn't for social media, I don't think we would have been able to do this podcast together.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't, you know, for social media, me and Jay wouldn't have the producers that we work with. We wouldn't have We wouldn't have some of the artists that we've worked with so far. So it helps with networking.
That beat I made never would have happened because that producer through social media.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And the social media has its pros and cons. You know, obviously people who are, spend half a second on there know it. But, networking is one of those good things that it does.
Absolutely. I mean, the band I was in before Crossover, I was in Canada. My producer was here somewhere in Virginia. My guitar player was somewhere else in Virginia. And the girl that we feature on the song that won a competition to be featured is in the UK.
Oh, wow.
So this collaboration, and I've done one with a guy in India also. Like,
wow.
That's how social media changed my game. Like, Crossover is pretty much what gave me, a foot in the community and being able to, and then I decided to switch it around and actually sit here and interview bands and get to know more bands. And,
I think it's definitely a double-edged sword, though.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because
I was going to say social media is also land of the bullies and,
And just how many people are out there. So easy to get swallowed among a crowd.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's why you have to be part of a community. I mean, since I started the podcast, I saw a little community, and I kind of entered it, and you guys are in it, and then all the other bands that are coming on the show that have been on the show. It's like everybody's helping each other right now, and it's beautiful to see because nobody helps the little bands, so we have to help each other.
No, and you know what? With social media too, it makes growing your music a lot easier as well. I feel like without social media, it would be very difficult, or I would say more difficult. I mean, it is to grow it.
And how busy people are. Not everybody has time to come out and see a show.
Social media helps you grow it around the world, but you'd be promoting your music locally. You'd be doing the footwork, we used to have street teams. You have to,
right. Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. There's no more street teams now. There's there's a team that's at the shows and everything. But I think that's the biggest change on social media is that a click of a finger and you can discover a whole world of artists.
Yeah, it could be you going to Kinko's and burning copies of your CD.
Yes.
Playing them out the back of your trunk, because that's how a lot of the local artists, especially in our area. I mean, back in the day before social media, that's how you got your music around. You would bring them to hip hop shops, and you would post up somewhere. You'd slang your music out of your car, and people would come up and buy them, and that's how you got your music around. And if you were lucky, you might be able to get it in a record store. That's how music got passed around, and I mean, you don't really have to do that much nowadays because of social media. So it helps everybody out.
I think
who really wins from social media is the consumer, the listener, the fan.
Yep.
Someone who has a particular taste in music now has the ability to discover music from all over the world that might cater to them. And someone who might not have otherwise ever come into contact with you as an artist now has that chance to do so.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So before we close the podcast, one last question. What's the best piece of advice somebody else has given you in your life?
I would say the best piece of advice that someone's given me and that I can give to other people is always stay consistent. No matter what you're doing, if it's making money, if it's making music, if it's just your regular job, stay consistent. Consistency is key, because some people are so quick to give up when they don't get the results right away. Mm-hmm. And the true key is to stay consistent. I mean, it gets rough. There's times where people want to quit. People want to quit their jobs. They want to quit this because they feel like they're not getting anywhere, but you have to keep pushing the envelope. Do not fucking quit. It will pay off sooner or later. Just don't quit. Stay consistent.
One thing I was always told was don't let anything surprise you.
It's a good one.
We just started making music for the fun of it, and to my surprise, people enjoyed it. People wanted to hear more. I'm like, wait, you don't hate me?
You guys are good. I was playing your music in the car earlier, and I was like, ooh, I'm liking this. This beat is like, yes, I love this. So, I mean, you guys have a sound. You guys, and I can't say you guys sound like this person, I guess. So you guys have your own sound, which is pretty fucking cool.
You know what?
One comparison I've heard from people that I am very happy to claim is we sound like a northern outcast.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'll take that.
Hey, Outkast is fucking dope. I'll take that.
Right.
You know, and the thing with that too is that we don't want to be stuck to having a specific sound. I think me and Jay really enjoy branching out and trying our hand in different sound. We love mixing rap with other things, and I think that's one of the things we're going to be touching on in the next project is trying to come up with different sounds that we haven't done before and see how well we can put those together. And if they work, that's awesome. And if they don't, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, music is never ending.
Absolutely. Time for my shameless plug real quick. I do have a Discord open if you guys want to join the servers on, like, it's posted every day on my Facebook page. I'm hoping to make a little community where people help themselves. My audio engineer, Matt, is there. There's other bands there, and I'm hoping we can all help each other. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to do this with the people that are on the podcast. So if you guys are interested, the link is there. Join us. There's a few of us in there already, and we just hang out, shoot shit, and just talk.
That's awesome. And another thing I was going to point out too is a lot of the people that follow us on our artist page on Facebook, a lot of them are bands. Like actual, you know, like rock bands, which is oddly enough because we're a hip hop band. We have a few like hip hop, you know, people that follow us, but the vast majority of it is rock bands. And then just the fact that they, you know, listen to our music as well and follow us or, you know, even show a spark of interest of us is really awesome. So.
But there's a lot of bands out there that are trying to help each other out. Like, I'm going to shout out a few of them, like Anger Overdose is one of them. They make sure to share my stuff pretty much every day. Death Pigeons, Lennox, like all those guys, they keep helping each other. They keep helping the community. So I'm hoping everybody can do the same. If everybody can share at least one other person's post every day, I think we can, you know, help each other out, grow in numbers, and not have to pay Facebook for their ads and stupid shit that they want us to pay for.
For their ads is a scam anyways.
It doesn't do anything.
I know. You know what? When we first released Set in Stone, I was doing the shit. I was paying for ads, and I realized that I wasn't really getting a good return on it. You know, and in the that community you're mentioning too, I do share stuff. I do, you know, react to posts and stuff like that. I think I've shared a couple of your things too as well. So that's actually the true way to do it is organically like that, instead of, you know, spending hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars on ads that might not work.
Exactly. And you're helping out another band. You're helping out a podcast host or a radio that played your song. Yep. I mean, we got to help each other out. Guys, it was awesome to have you on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation. I mean, I could probably keep going like this for another hour, but editing is going to kill me if I keep going. So.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure. I'll make sure we edit, and then we'll send you guys a copy that you can keep.
Sweet.
And I'll make sure to keep you guys updated on when it comes out. We're the 10th right now. Should come out around the 18th or the 19th.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Keep being awesome, guys.
You as well. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye.